Good afternoon, everyone, and happy Tuesday to you guys. I hope you are doing well and doing all right. The weather is feeling a little bit more spring like today with some sunshine. I hope you guys are able to get outside and enjoy it. So, I know that most of you are probably sick of hearing about remote learning or doing things from home, whatever it is. Maybe you're watching this and you're a parent who's working from home. I think we're all getting sick of hearing about things from home, working from home, learning from home. But I want to throw something out to you guys today that I was thinking about when it comes to Jesus, when it comes to uh, his learning, his growth, his time as a man here on the earth, and something that we can learn, and something that I want to encourage you guys in today. So we're going to be in Luke chapter 2, and this is at the very end of chapter 2, and we're going to talk about when Jesus was a young boy and something that happened to him when he was 12 years old. So here we go. I'm going to pick up Luke chapter 2, starting in verse 41. Every year, Jesus' parents went to Jerusalem for the Passover festival. When Jesus was 12 years old, they attended the festival as usual. After the celebration was over, they started home to Nazareth, but Jesus stayed behind in Jerusalem. His parents didn't miss him at first because they assumed he was among the other travelers. But when he didn't show up that evening, they started looking for him among his relatives and friends. When they couldn't find him, they went back to Jerusalem to search for him there. 3 days later, they finally discovered him in the temple, sitting among the religious teachers, listening to them and asking questions. All who heard him were amazed at his understanding and his answers. Verse 48, his parents didn't know what to think. Son, his mother said to him, why have you done this to us? Your father and I have been frantic, searching for you everywhere. But why did you need to search? He asked. Didn't you know that I must be in my father's house? But they didn't understand what he meant. Then he returned to Nazareth with them and was obedient to them, and his mother stored all these things in her heart. Jesus grew in wisdom and in stature and in favor with God and all the people. So one of the reasons I want to include this, we have a lot of missing parts about Jesus' childhood. Most of what we have in the Gospels is about him as a man in his ministry. And so there's a large portion of his life that's missing. And so this is an interesting piece because it lets us know that there was a humanity side, that Jesus was a young boy, that he was 12 years old. And the story also intrigues me because he went missing. His parents, so when they would travel in big groups, big caravans. And so it wasn't unusual for them to not have their son with them. So when we go on trips, when we do things with our families, we're typically all in the same cars. We're typically in the same vicinity, on the same plane, same boat, whatever. But in this case, because it was travel on foot and with animals, and a lot of people, they just assumed that they were with family and friends and other people, that Jesus was with other people. And so 3 days had passed after they went looking for him, and they finally found him. So it's an interesting story. I just wanted to throw it out there. But also it gives us an insight. And it says, Jesus grew in wisdom and in stature and in favor with God and all the people. It's this idea that he continued to grow physically, emotionally, mentally, in knowledge, spiritually. Like Jesus was a young boy. He was a 12-year-old boy in this situation. But the thing that I want to challenge you on and encourage you on today, there are going to be two challenges. The first one is that Jesus took the opportunity to learn when he was given the chance. They found him in the temple, sitting with the religious elite, listening to them and learning from them and asking questions. And so even though sometimes school and the opportunity to learn, even if it is from a distance right now, feels like it could be a difficult, hard thing or something you're just sick of, consider it a blessing. Consider it an opportunity that you're able to grow and become smarter. You're able to gain knowledge, and you're able to gain experience in life for different things that God can use later on. So that leads me then into, while you're learning about plenty of things from home, I know you're doing your schoolwork and you're sick of homework, but I want to kind of give you a piece of homework myself. It has nothing to do with school. It has nothing to do with a grade. There's not going to be a quiz or a test. This is simply for you in your faith. In the midst of all this remote learning, in the midst of all these new norms right now, take this as a time to learn something new about Jesus. Open up and read one of the Gospels. Read the book of Luke. I've said it before, it's my favorite one out of the four because Luke was a doctor and a historian. His details and his ability to storytell is just great. But open it up and read it. Learn something new about Jesus today. Learn in the same way that you're learning about other things. Use this as an opportunity to grow in your faith. And then from this day forward, say, I'm going to learn one thing new about Jesus for the next 3 days, the next 5 days, the next week, the next month, this next year. That we look back on the crazy pandemic of 2020 and these strange times we're in, but we can look back and know that in 2020 we learned a lot about Jesus because in those moments, God's going to use them in our life. God's going to use them to change who we are so that we know who our Savior is. So again, find value today in learning, find value in education, but also take today to learn something new about Jesus. Sure, you could use the free space, so to speak, and know that, okay, here's a story about Jesus getting lost and missing for a few days, or that he grew in stature, or that we know what he was like as a 12-year-old boy. But learn something else about him today.